A poor little girl helps a millionaire fix a flat tire on the road. She says, "I learned it from my mom." But when he sees the necklace she's wearing, he's stunned. Darren Cole adjusted the rearview mirror and checked the GPS for the third time. 3.5 hours on the road, and there were still 50 minutes left until he reached home. The air conditioning struggled against the late afternoon heat, while the figures from his last meeting echoed in his head like a mantra. 12% growth, tight margins, the need for restructuring. A successful executive. It was the title he carried with pride. Chief Executive Officer at one of the largest corporations in the country. An apartment in the best neighborhood. A German car. A bank account that would make anyone dream. Everything he'd aspired to when he was younger. But for months, he'd felt a constant emptiness, as if he were just a cog in a machine, performing functions without any real purpose. Emotionally drained. The feeling haunted him during sleepless nights, lonely weekends, and endless meetings that repeated themselves. The GPS showed two possible routes. The main road and a secondary one that cut straight through the countryside. Without knowing why, he turned the steering wheel to the right. An impulse, a need to break from the predictable. The secondary road stretched out before him, narrow and winding. On one side, fields rolling to the horizon. On the other, low hills covered in dense vegetation. No signs, nothing but asphalt and scenery. Darren instinctively slowed down. It was as though he had entered another world. No cars, no houses, no visible life. Just the road cutting through the silence. He was beginning to question his decision when he felt the car vibrate. A strange noise came from below on the right side. The steering wheel started pulling to one side. Damn it! He pulled over onto the shoulder. A flat tire. In the middle of nowhere, Darren looked around. Literally nothing. Empty fields in every direction. Not a house, not a power pole. No sign of civilization. He grabbed his phone. 0 bars. Completely no signal. Seriously? He got out of the car and walked a few yards down the road, holding his phone up. He tried different positions, different angles. Nothing. It was like he was in an electronic black hole. He went back to the car and popped the trunk. The jack and the spare were there, covered by a thin layer of dust. When was the last time he'd changed a tire? He couldn't remember. In recent years, he always had insurance, tow trucks, roadside assistance. He placed the jack on the ground and tried to position it under the car. The tool seemed not to fit properly. Darren forced it, adjusted it, tried different points. The sun was beating down hard, making him take off his jacket. 15 minutes of frustrating attempts. His shirt was sticking to his back, stained with sweat. Where the hell was everyone? Was this road abandoned? A car passed far away, but didn't slow down when it saw the hazard lights. "Hey!" Darren waved uselessly. The vehicle was already gone over the horizon. Another 20 minutes. Another car appeared. This time, Darren stood in the road, waving frantically. The driver honked and swerved angrily. "Son of a..." he muttered, walking back to the shoulder. He tried his phone again. 0. Absolutely nothing. It was as if he were in a dead zone, forgotten by the world. 40 minutes after the tire went flat, just as he was about to give up and start walking for help, he heard a voice. "Need some help?" Darren turned, surprised. A small girl was there, standing a few feet from the car. She couldn't have been more than 7 years old. Brown hair in a messy ponytail, hands dirty with soil, simple but clean clothes. She had appeared out of nowhere, like a ghost. "Where did you come from?" was the first thing he managed to ask. "From home. We live over there." She pointed vaguely beyond a rise in the terrain. Darren didn't see any building, but he believed her. "You're not managing to fix it?" "No. And there's no signal here. Never is. It's because of the hills." "What's your name?" "Nina. And do you know how to change a tire?" he asked, more out of politeness than genuine belief. "I learned it from my mom." The answer came simply, without bravado, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. Nina approached the car and examined the jack. "You're putting it in the wrong spot. It has to go here." To his surprise, she repositioned the tool with confident, precise movements. Darren watched, incredulous. A 7-year-old child solving a problem that he, with all his education and professional success, couldn't handle. "What's your name, Mr. Fancy Car?" Nina asked as she began loosening the lug nuts. "Darren." I'm Nina. Were you traveling somewhere? Returning home. The answer sounded strange even to him. Home. The empty apartment. Nina worked with focus, her small figure leaning over the wheel. Darren held parts when she asked, tightened lug nuts when she indicated. It was humiliating and, at the same time, liberating. He didn't need to lead, just help. Your mum taught you really well. She teaches me a bunch of stuff. Says you have to know how to do things on your own. Is she a mechanic? No, Nina smiled. She works at a store, but she knows how to do everything she needs. A woman who knew a bit of everything. Darren tried to recall the last time he had learned something practical, something hands-on. Everything in his life was abstract. Numbers, strategies, meetings. Do you have any siblings? No, it's just me and my mom. And your dad? The question slipped out before he thought. Nina didn't seem bothered. I don't have one. My mom says it's better that way. The naturalness of her response surprised him. No drama, no bitterness, just a fact. They continued working in silence. Darren watched the child's skill, her early independence. When had he lost the ability to do simple things? Done. Nina stood up, wiping her hands on her now-stained shirt. The tires changed. Thank you. Really. You saved me. Darren reached for his wallet. Let me give you something. 20, 50? No need. She shook her head firmly. We help because we should help. Nina turned to go. That's when it happened. She took a hurried step, stepped into a small hole in the shoulder and lost her balance. She tried to hold on but fell to her knees on the asphalt. Are you hurt? Darren rushed to help her up. I'm okay. Nina stood quickly, but something had fallen from her shirt. A necklace, golden. Shining on the grey asphalt, Darren felt the world stop. His heart pounded, blood turning cold in his veins. It was impossible. It couldn't be. The necklace was identical to the one he had given Marla 9 years ago. Exactly identical. The same delicate design, the same thin chain, the same golden heart as a pendant. My necklace! Nina quickly bent to pick it up, but Darren was faster. He held the object in trembling fingers, slowly turned it over, his heart pounding erratically. On the back of the heart was still the engraving he had done at an expensive jeweler in the city, D+M forever. Darren felt like he'd been punched in the stomach. His legs shook slightly. His mouth went dry. It's mine. Nina held out her small hand. Please, I need to give it back to my mom. Is it yours? He managed to ask, his voice hoarser than usual. It's my mom's. She lets me wear it sometimes when I go play. Has your mom had this necklace for a long time? Forever. Nina waved her hand impatiently. Can I have it back? Darren returned the necklace but couldn't look away. It couldn't be a coincidence. There couldn't be two identical necklaces with the same custom inscription. What's your mom's name? Mom, Nina answered as if it were obvious. But what's her real name? Nina looked at him curiously. Why do you want to know? It's just, the necklace is pretty. It looks old. My mom's had it forever. Nina tucked the necklace carefully inside her shirt. Since before I was born. The world spun around Darren, Marla. It had to be Marla. But how? Why? What was she doing out here, in the middle of nowhere, with a 7-year-old daughter? Well, I gotta go, Nina said, already moving away. Bye, mister. Darren, wait, Darren almost shouted but held back. Thank you for your help. You saved me. You're welcome. Nina smiled and walked toward the rise in the terrain, disappearing quickly. Darren stood on the shoulder, watching her go. The tire was changed, the tools put away, the car ready to continue the trip. But something fundamental had changed. He got in the car mechanically, started the engine. His hands still trembled slightly on the wheel. 8 years. 8 years since he'd last seen Marla. 8 years since he'd made the choice that changed his life. He remembered the day with painful clarity. The incredible promotion in the big city, regional vice presidency, triple salary, company apartment, car. Everything he had ever wanted. Marla had asked him to stay, or to take her along, but Marla's town had roots. She was caring for her sick grandmother. She had a small business that was growing. She had friends, family, a life. He chose to leave, chose career, success, the future that seemed so bright. Go, follow your dream, she had said, smiling through tears. "But take the necklace, so you remember it was real." But he didn't take it, he left it for her. "Keep it for me," he said. "One day I'll come back to get it." He never did. Marla had tried to keep in touch in the first few months, calls, messages, letters. He always replied quickly, but the replies became shorter, more spaced out. Work consumed everything. Meetings, projects, ambition. After a year, she stopped trying. And now there it was. The past materialized in a golden necklace around the neck of a 7-year-old, a child who might be connected to him somehow. No, impossible. The math didn't add up, or did it? Darren slowly accelerated, trying to leave the road behind. But with every mile, his mind returned to the necklace, to Nina's serious eyes, to the simplicity with which she had said, "It's my mom's." A deep pain began to grow in his chest, a pain he'd tried to bury under layers of work, ambition, and apparent success, a pain he recognized as regret. 50 minutes later, he arrived home. Apartment on the 15th floor, a view of the city, 24-hour concierge. He entered the elevator and rode in silence. He unlocked the door to his apartment. Total silence. Designer furniture. Everything in place. All immaculate. He tossed his keys on the kitchen counter and went straight to the living room window. The city stretched infinitely, lights starting to flicker in the twilight. Millions of people, millions of ambitions, millions of lonely hearts. He loosened his tie without taking his eyes off the view. The necklace wouldn't leave his thoughts. Nina changing the tire more competently than he had. "I learned from my mum." Marla had become a mother. Marla lived somewhere near that road. Marla still had the necklace. He went to the bathroom and looked at his reflection in the mirror, tired face, dark circles under his eyes, stubble starting to turn grey at the temples. When had he gotten so old? When had he lost the youth Marla knew? He took a long shower, letting the hot water wash away the day. He put on sweatpants and an old t-shirt, went to the kitchen. He opened the fridge, a few bottles of water, a 2-day-old pre-made salad, random sauces. He closed it without taking anything. He sat on the couch, picked up the remote, flipped through channels mindlessly, turned it off. The apartment was too quiet. Only the distant sound of cars below. Always those sounds. Never familiar voices. Never laughter, never life. He went out to the balcony. The night breeze was coming in. He lit a cigarette, something he did less and less often. The smoke drifted into the night air. He thought of Nina, a 7-year-old child who knew more about helping people than he'd learned in his entire adult life. A child carrying a piece of his past without knowing it. And Marla. Marla was somewhere not too far away, raising Nina alone, working, living, moving on. She had kept the necklace for 8 years. Why? Sentimentality, stubbornness, or something else? Darren finished the cigarette and flicked the butt off the balcony, went back inside. He brewed a strong coffee, sat down at the kitchen table. His laptop was there, as always. He opened it. Unread emails, reports to review. He closed it again. He just sat there, staring at the white kitchen wall. Everything perfect, everything empty. The phone rang. It was Marcus, his business partner, probably about the reports he should have reviewed. He let it ring until it stopped. It rang again, he ignored it. The third time, he answered, irritated. "What is it, Marcus?" "Man, where are you? I need those numbers for tomorrow." "Send them by email, I'll look later." "Later? Darren, the meeting is at 8 a. Thomas, I know when the meeting is. Are you all right?" "I'm fine." "You sound strange. I'm just tired." "Okay. But I really need those numbers." "All right." He hung up without waiting for a response. He returned to the couch, lay down, staring at the ceiling. The air conditioning kept the temperature perfect. The ambient sound blocked any external noise, absolute comfort. But all he could think of was Nina's voice. "I learned from my mom." And the shine of the golden necklace on the asphalt. A 7-year-old had learned more about life in a few years than he had in his entire meteoric career. And Marla, the woman he had loved and left behind, was raising that child. Teaching values he had forgotten existed. He closed his eyes. He saw the necklace again, heard Nina's voice again, felt the apartment's emptiness around him once more. A tear escaped, then another. For the first time in 8 years, he allowed himself to feel. to feel the pain of what he'd left behind, to feel the emptiness of what he had achieved, to feel the possibility that maybe, just maybe, he had made the wrong decision. He got up and went to the window again. Down below, the city was still pulsating. Life, movement, infinite possibilities. But all he could think about was a deserted road, a helpful child, and a necklace that should have been forgotten. Something had started to hurt inside him again, and this time he couldn't ignore it. The phone rang again. He let it ring. Then again. And again. Darren sank back onto the couch, ignoring everything. The apartment, emails, calls, the success he had built. For the first time in years, he knew exactly what was missing. And he didn't know if he had the courage to go after it. For 3 consecutive nights, Darren stayed awake thinking about the golden necklace. Nina solemnly changing the tire. "I learned from my mum." The phrase echoed endlessly in his mind. On the 4th night, he made a decision. He sat in front of the computer and typed, "Private investigators, absolute discretion." Several results popped up. He chose one that looked professional. Quiet work, no unnecessary questions. In the office, a grey-haired man with tired eyes. Darren felt strange hiring someone to find a person after so long. "What exactly do you need to know?" The investigator adjusted his glasses. "A woman, Marla Santos, about 35 years old, lives in a small town, maybe near country roads. She has a 7-year-old daughter, Nina." Darren hesitated before continuing. "Additional information. The town probably has poor cell service, rural, men with hills. The woman works not sure where. The child helps strangers on the road." The investigator took notes meticulously. "Previous relationship with this woman? We were 8 years ago." Darren felt his throat tighten. "I see. How long do you need for the results?" "A maximum of 1 week." Darren left a substantial advance payment and left. In the car, with sweaty hands, he questioned himself. What was he doing? Why invade Marla's life after so long in silence? But the necklace. That cursed necklace. The following days were torture. Important meetings seemed irrelevant. Complex spreadsheets no longer held his attention. Each time the phone rang, his heart raced. On the 6th day, the call came. "Mr. Darren, we found information on Marla Santos." "Tell me." "She lives in Green Hills, works in a local store. She has a 7-year-old daughter, Nina. They live modestly, small house on Flower Street. The child attends the local school." Darren frantically took notes. "Green Hills, are you absolutely sure? Information confirmed from multiple sources. Need more details?" "No, thank you." He hung up, hands shaking. Green Hills. Why did that name send a chill down his spine? He quickly typed in Google Maps. Green Hills location. The map loaded. A red pin appeared. Darren froze. It couldn't be real. He clicked for more info, checked coordinates, read descriptions. His vision blurred. Green Hills. It wasn't just where Marla lived. It was his hometown, the place where he was born 36 years ago, where he learned to ride a bike in the local park, where he had his first kiss at a school dance, where he dreamed of leaving the small town to conquer the world, the town he had sworn never to set foot in again when he left for an internship in the big city at 18. Darren sank into his chair, breathing heavily. How hadn't he recognized it? How had he passed by and not realized? Maybe because it had changed so much. Maybe because he had intentionally blocked any memory of the simple life he left behind, chasing greatness. Marla had returned to his hometown, raising Nina there, the same place he had grown up, lived his first 17 years. It was as if the universe was playing a trick on him, offering a second chance, or exacting cosmic revenge. He remembered the day he left. January 20th, bright sun, small suitcase, proud parents at the bus station, friends saying goodbye, his then-girlfriend crying. "I'll come back during vacation," he promised. "It's just until I settle down." He never returned, changed his phone number, changed his email, cut all ties with that life he considered too small for his dreams. And now Marla, the woman he met years later in another city, was there, raising Nina alone on the same streets where he once played soccer. Darren stood up, began pacing the office. He had to decide, go or not go. After 8 years of silence, did he have the right to appear in Marla's life, What if she had moved on? What if Nina was... He stopped. He couldn't think about that now. He picked up the phone, dialed his secretary. Cancel everything next week, urgent trip. But sir, there's a meeting with... Cancel everything. He hung up, went to his computer, searched routes to Green Hills, 2.5 hours by car. He could go and return the same day, but he knew it wouldn't be that simple. Driving home, his mind worked feverishly. Green Hills. How much had it changed in 18 years? His parents died in an accident when he was 22. There was nothing left there for him, except now. Now there was Marla and Nina. In the apartment, he went straight to the closet, found a small box in the back. Inside, old photographs, the town, friends, his parents, moments of a life he had buried under ambition and success. One specific photo made him stop. The school soccer team. He was 16, smiling. Behind him, the field where Nina might be playing now. He quickly put it away. Too painful. He packed a small bag. He had no idea how long he'd stay. Maybe a day, maybe a week. Maybe it would change his life completely. At 8 the next morning, he was in his car, Monday. Heavy traffic leaving the city, but it didn't matter. It gave him time to think. 2 hours later, he recognized landmarks on the road. Familiar hills, old signs, the curve where he had his first bike accident. He was entering Green Hills for the first time in 18 years. The town had changed, busier. Some new buildings, but the essence remained. The same streets, the same central square, the church still atop the hill. He drove slowly, memories flooding his mind. He looked for the bakery where, according to the investigator, she worked. He found it on the main street, the Cozy Corner Bakery. He parked across the street, engine running, heart pounding. There it was. Finally, after 8 years, he was about to see Marla again, in the town where he was born, where everything began and ended. He took a deep breath, turned off the engine, opened the door, and took the first step towards something that could change everything. Darren stopped at a small toy store in the center of Green Hills. The town was smaller than he remembered, but he recognized every corner. He wanted something simple, sincere. His eyes landed on a rag doll with a floral dress. It wasn't expensive or fancy. It was just sweet. It's for a 7-year-old girl, he told the middle-aged clerk, who looked at him curiously. Oh, yes. We have some more modern ones with lights and sounds. No? He held on to the rag doll. This one's perfect. Flower Street, number 143. The GPS guided him to a quiet road, a small house, simple paint, a tiny front yard, a makeshift swing hanging from a tree. Darren parked, took a deep breath. His hands trembled around the gift wrapped in blue paper. He climbed the 3 steps to the door, rang the doorbell, footsteps inside. The door opened. Marla. Time froze. She looked more mature, her hair slightly shorter, a few fine lines around her eyes. But it was definitely her. Her face went through a rapid sequence of emotions. Total surprise, then pain, then something like resolve, mixed with resignation. And finally, just memory. Darren. It wasn't a question. Hi, Marla. His voice came out rougher than he intended. Nina appeared behind her, curious. Mom, who is it? It's the man I helped with the tire. Nina smiled. You came back. Darren knelt, getting to her level. Hi, Nina. I brought something for you. He held out the gift. Nina's eyes lit up. For me? Really? Really? She tore the paper with childish enthusiasm. Out came the rag doll. A doll! She hugged the toy against her chest. She can sleep with me. Marla watched it all in silence, her expression indescribable. Thank you, sir. She's beautiful. Nina twirled with the doll in her arms. Mom, can he come in, just for a little while? Marla hesitated. Darren saw the conflict in her eyes. Finally, she gave a small nod. Come in. The house was small but cozy. Simple furniture, photos on the wall, the smell of coffee and flowers. Darren followed Marla to the living room. Nina stayed on the couch, introducing the new doll to her other toys. Sit. Marla gestured to an armchair. He sat. She said,